There's a new social perception that if you don't present like you have your life together, that somehow you are not doing enough. The internet literally sells us one version of early adulthood, and that's be attractive, get money, find the right relationship. But in this generation, it's do all of those things and post about it. It sells us that version of early adulthood so loudly and so constantly that anything else starts to feel like you're falling short and failing in life. What nobody tells you about being in your 20s is no matter what path you choose, you will face hardship. If you go to college, you'll have the fear that you picked the wrong degree, and then you'll graduate, and then you might not be able to get a job right away. If you skip college and go straight into the workforce, you'll be facing different problems. You might have glass ceilings. Or if you start a business, there might be months that are absolutely terrifying. There will be pivots that you didn't plan for. Everything is uncertain. That is why the cheat code narrative is so dangerous. It's because it paints this picture that if you just do everything right, then you'll get the thing you want. The more susceptible you are that there's some secret code, the easier you are to manipulate. I mean, just think about it. When you're seeing a 23-year-old with a six-figure business, you're not seeing the full picture. You're not seeing the family money that funded their first venture. You're not seeing the luck of timing, being in the right place at the right time. And I'm not saying this to say that that's still not an accomplishment. I'm just saying that to say you don't know how many people tried that same exact thing and failed silently. This video is going to help you address the thought patterns that are keeping you stuck in a cycle of comparisons so you can actually start to build the life you want without delusion. If you're new here, hey bestie, my name is Natalie, and this is where I share ways that I'm getting my shit together so that you can get your shit together. One thing I've been realizing recently is that growth doesn't always look impressive from the outside. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's you expanding yourself in small, consistent ways. For me, one of those things has been learning Spanish. And yes, Rosetta Stone is today's partner for this video, but I want to be real about why I actually use it because my story with Rosetta Stone is very personal. I live in California, and in my city, 15% of the population speaks Spanish. That's close to 500,000 residents. And I actually took Spanish in high school, but I noticed that what I was learning didn't match the conversational Spanish that the other people around me were speaking. It was actually Spanish from Spain, so it was a completely different dialect. Rosetta Stone made the process feel practical in a way that classroom instruction never did. What actually works for me is their dynamic immersion method, which surrounds you with the language just like you were surrounded by your first language as a kid, with visuals, context, and repetition, rather than just randomly memorizing words. And that's because their lessons are designed specifically by multicultural linguists and are built around real-life situations. You're learning the kind of language that you would actually use in conversation. And Rosetta Stone doesn't only have Spanish, it has 25 other languages. So I highly recommend if you're going on a trip somewhere out of the country this summer, you definitely need to go check out Rosetta Stone. There's also a pronunciation feature that corrects you as you speak, which is something that's so unique. If you're looking for a reason to invest in yourself right now, there's a special offer down in my description. So be sure to go check out Rosetta Stone, specifically their new app. Thank you so much, Rosetta Stone, for sponsoring this video today, and let's just get right back to the video. What blocks your goals or manifestations or whatever you want to call it isn't outside influences, isn't other people, it's literally you. It's you being too comfortable to actually do something different. The more stuck in your ways you are, the less in tune with receiving you will be. Every choice is hard. Okay, you're never going to not face hardship. So choose your hard wisely. You're never going to get to a point where you're like, oh, this is going to be the easiest choice. This is what's going to make me the most money and be the least difficult path. Okay, the path of least resistance often actually gets you more resistance over time because it's very easy to stay stagnant, but it's actually really hard to focus on what you want. It's hard to say no to what society wants you to do in order to get to where you want to be. You will make sacrifices for the life you want, and that's just the truth. The cheat code narrative is dangerous because it implies if you just have the certain information you need or choose the right thing, that you will become an exception, when in reality, every single person will face struggles no matter what they do. Adversity is not something that you can hack your way out of, all right? Suffering is a choice, but you will face hardship. You will go through times where you're uncertain. You will feel fear. Buying a product will not erase the fact that you're scared of what you're doing with your life. You're under the constant pressure of feeling like everybody else has it figured out. They don't. If they had it figured out, they wouldn't be going online to try to sell something to you. They need to eat too. You don't need somebody else to tell you what you already want to do. You need knowledge. The internet is free. All of the information you need is available to you. You just have to take action. One of the best things that you can do for yourself is to to stop telling yourself the lie that there is a shortcut. There is no shortcut. It is your hard work that's going to get you to where you want to be. It is your hard work that's going to get you what you want. And that doesn't mean you work hard in the sense of burning yourself out. That just simply means when you work, you do it well and you do it with purpose. It costs hard work. Even for women who choose to have a soft life and they find somebody to provide for them, they might also have a hard life down the line too, just because somebody else is not always going to be there for you. Nobody else is going to do it but you. Nobody is coming to save you but you. Your path is going to have hard chapters. That's not because you're doing anything wrong. That's literally because that's what building something real actually looks like. There's two failure modes that a lot of people fall into, and both are equally useless. The first is believing that hard work alone is going to get you where you need to be. This sounds responsible. It sounds like integrity. It sounds like, I'm just going to grind and I'm just going to work, but it doesn't. There are people who have worked their entire lives at jobs that are dead end jobs. Hard work without direction means you're just running really efficiently towards the wrong destination. The second failure mode is the flip side. It's believing that intention and faith alone is enough to get you to where you want. It's not. At some point, you actually have to move. You must be in a state of complete detachment to actually receive what you want in life. So how do you actually get there? I want to start this chapter with something I've genuinely noticed about myself and how I used to approach goals versus how I approach them now. For a long time, when I wanted to achieve something, I would write down very specific outcome-based goals. I had lists, and I mean detailed lists of exactly what I wanted in life. It felt productive. It felt really serious. It felt like, okay, well, I'm making these abstract goals, but they were based on outcome rather than the actual action I needed in order to get there. It genuinely made me miserable when I didn't achieve what I thought I wanted, and that's because I really wasn't focused on the process. I was focused more on the outcome. And I think this happens to a lot of people, especially with fitness. You might go to the gym and you'll be like, well, I want my body to look this way. I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. So you'll set an abstract goal of, okay, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds by this date. One of two things in this scenario usually happens. They either actually lose the weight and then they realize that they're not happy with the outcome because the method that they used in order to lose the weight wasn't sustainable, or they don't hit the number and then they feel like they failed because they weren't able to achieve this metric, even though their body is literally changing because they're building muscle. A lot of people like outcome-based goals because they feel measurable and concrete, but what I've personally noticed is that to get to the life I want, outcome-based goals often made me feel worse. And that's because they don't tell you how to get there. And oftentimes when you skip over the process, you don't take the lesson out of why you're even doing the thing to begin with. They don't allow you to realize what you might learn or discover along the way, so it keeps your mind very closed off to actual growth. So here's what I've personally shifted to instead once I noticed that this really wasn't working for me. Step one is to anchor to a feeling, not a result. Instead of, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want 50,000 subscribers, or I want, whatever metric you want, ask yourself what you're actually chasing. Is it financial stability? Is it creative fulfillment? Is it a sense of being recognized for your work? The feeling is the real goal. What do you actually want? The metric is just the one possible way to get there, but the actual results is what you want. You want to feel a certain way. Step two is to set process goals, not outcome-based goals. And this is pretty straightforward. You can't control if you hit 50K, okay? You can't control if you lose 10 pounds, but you can show up to the gym 4 times a week. You can control what you produce. You cannot control the outcome of what you produce. So you can always answer the question, okay, did I do the work today? Yes or no. But you can't always answer the question, okay, did I reach this number? Sometimes you did everything possible and you still didn't get the result. And that's when you implement step number 3, which is to build in flexibility. This is the intuitive part because you actually need to revisit your goals every 60 to 90 days. Think about the goals that you set and go, okay, well, is this actually what I need to be doing? Ask yourself honestly, is this still the direction I want to go? It's okay if the answer is no. Being able to pivot is not a weakness. It is your strength. The way I gauge someone's mental strength is the ability to bounce back from hardship or bounce back from something that they didn't expect. It is normal to experience things in life that offset your goals. That's life. What do you do after? Do you rebuild? Do you get back to the point you were at before, or do you give up? This is how you avoid spending years trying to chase a version of success that you've already outgrown or that you don't even want anymore. A lot of people get so set on this idea of what they want that they can't sit and think about, okay, well, actually, is this what I want? Pay attention to the feelings that you get when you go through hardship or you don't reach those goals. Sometimes you didn't reach a goal not because you're incapable, but simply because it wasn't the right timing or you still need to learn something from it. And step number 4, protect your vision from outside noise. This is so important. You need to stop comparing yourself. We are constantly in an environment that's telling us everything that we should want instead of what we actually want. When you're constantly surrounded by other people telling you who you should be, what you should be doing, and how you should live your life, it can be difficult to stand in your own truth of what you actually know you want to do. Sometimes it can be difficult to even answer that question. The hardest part of setting real goals in your 20s is doing it in an environment that's constantly telling us who we should be, what we should want, and how we should live. You must become incredibly intentional about filtering what voices you should let in. Not everybody's opinion matters, especially when it comes to what you want to do with your life, even if you don't know yet. It is normal to not know exactly what you want, but you know the feeling. Someone else's timeline or the way somebody else did something is not evidence that that's what you should be doing. So let's move into chapter 5 and talk about how to actually let go of comparison. Here's my take on comparison, okay? Comparison isn't actually a flaw. It's just information. A lot of personal development content paint things like comparison and insecurity as the villains, right? If you must be feeling insecure, you're weak. You're an insecure person. Let's get away from this icky, insecure person. A lot of people feed you the advice that just by working on your self-worth, that is exactly how you're going to stop comparing yourself. That's a lie. Comparison is a natural human emotion. It's what you do with that comparison that actually dictates who you are and how you can actually build your confidence. When comparison shows up for me, it's not because I really want that person's life. It's because I genuinely cannot see how the specific actions I'm currently taking in my life are moving me forward. It's not a lack of certainty in myself and who I am. It's a lack of certainty in the actions that I'm taking in order to get to the life I want. If I see somebody else living the life I want and I'm not doing enough with myself, it's going to be easy to look to them and go, well, what are they doing to get there? What am I not doing? When you find your mind naturally comparing yourself to other people, you must take the time to actually hear what it's telling you. Because if you just move past it, you're missing out on all of this data that you can learn about yourself. It is literally just information on what are you not doing. On the other hand, you might be doing everything you possibly can and you still find yourself comparing yourself to people. In that scenario, it's because you can't see the effort in your own actions. You are not seeing the importance behind your actions, and that is what's making you compare yourself. But this is the switch that literally made me completely change my outlook on comparison. You are the only one that has seen everything you have been through. Okay? The effort that you put towards your goals means more than other people's efforts and other people's results simply because you know what it's taken you to get there. Okay, you know personally every single thing that you've been through in order to get to the point now that you are taking the actions that you need to take. In scenarios where you feel like you're doing everything you possibly can and you're just frustrated because you're not receiving the outcome you want, it's because you're still not seeing the value of your own actions. The effort in your actions is important because of everything you've been through. The main moments I find myself comparing is when I keep doing everything I possibly can and I'm still not getting the outcome I actually want. I'm looking at their outcome as evidence that my actions aren't enough. That's the problem. Comparison only hurts when we use it as a verdict on how much we are actually worth. If you see someone doing something and you feel that pull, that ache of why am I not there yet? That's actually telling you there's something in that direction that's calling you. That's it. The comparison is clarity on what you want in life, and it's a reflection that you do not see your own efforts. When you compare yourself to what somebody else is going through, you're not comparing yourself to what they actually went through in order to get there. You're comparing yourself to the outcome. You don't know what it costed them to get there. You don't know their efforts. All you know is your own efforts. You are comparing your behind the scenes reality to somebody's curated output. That is an unfair comparison. It will always make you feel smaller than you actually are. It will always make you feel like your efforts aren't enough. Because the reality is your mind is comparing you because you don't appreciate your own efforts. You you don't appreciate everything you've been through in order to get to the point you're at. Your efforts have context that nobody else can replicate. And that's what makes your journey so special. So when you feel comparison, it's not because you're just like this insecure, bitter person. It's because you need to appreciate yourself. Allow comparison to be your fuel. Allow it to show you what you want in life. Then put your head down and actually build it. If you gain one thing from this video, just know that your 20s isn't meant to be you just suddenly figuring everything out in a day. It's a process of making mistakes and learning from them and actually living your life. Don't be so focused on the goal and your outcomes that you forget to actually live in the moment, because someday your entire life is going to change and you're going to be looking back at who you used to be and just wishing, I wish I just took a second to just appreciate where I was. Be proud of the version of yourself today, because you literally are a combination of every single version of you in the past. I love you guys so much. Be sure to go check out Rosetta Stone in the link in my description, okay? You must click the link in order to actually receive the offer. And be sure to go check out my social medias at Natalie Etched. Like this video, subscribe, and thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. I really hope you take it easy on yourselves, and I'll see you guys next week.